All right, so I'm taking off my hat for this one. I just saw one of the best movies of 2024, and we need to talk about it. Out of the 140 something movies that I have seen this year, I've only said this once before that, the best movie I've seen all year. That was back in June, the movie Ghostlight, and I stand by that. Quite literally one of the best movies I have seen all year. But this movie right here, Exhibiting Forgiveness, if you miss this while it is in theaters, big mistake. Listen to me very carefully. So this movie is directed by Titus Kaphar in his directorial debut. I assume his debut because I can't find anything else directed by this man. He wrote and directed. This stars Andre Holland, Andra Day, and Anjanae Ellis-Taylor. Terrell is a painter, lives with his wife Andra, who is an artist, a musician, and his son Jermaine, and they are getting ready to move his mother out of her house and closer to him. Terrell makes beautiful works of art, incredible paintings, huge canvases, and yet he seems very reserved when it comes to putting himself on display, when it comes to really showcasing all of the emotion that he puts on paint. It's this interesting contrast between this man who can express himself so vividly in color, and yet in person, he kind of shields himself. He gets to his mama's house. Mama hasn't packed a thing like he asked. So, they're going to help her pack up her house. And that's when he sees his father, Laron, for the first time in 15 years. The way this movie starts, we meet Laron first, which is an interesting way for us to meet Terrell and get a sense of who he is and why he is. Because Laron is homeless, sitting outside a convenience store, scrubbing tires, working his butt off, because that's all he knows how to do. Ends up in the lowest place he's ever been, and now he's on his road to recovery. He's a recovering drug addict, and he wants to make amends. He wants to rebuild that lost relationship with his son. Terrell, unfortunately, is just not having it. I'm just going to leave the synopsis there. Here's the thing. It's October, right? So October, November, December, this is the time of the year. I call it Oscar season. Different people might call it something different, but this is the time of the year when the movies of the year get released. And usually they're the hardest movies to see because they're always some sort of limited release. But these are the movies of the year. These are the movies that are aiming to compete because December 31st is the deadline for most of your big awards. So they're trying, at the 11th hour to get these movies in theaters to be seen for 7 consecutive days so they can qualify. So all of your best movies are coming out right now. This is, the season opener right here, Exhibiting Forgiveness. What an incredible debut. Again, because if he's done anything else in terms of film, I am not aware. However, I just realized the man is a painter. And by the man, I mean Titus Kaphar, the director and writer here. He is a painter, and I'm wondering if he did the pieces in this movie himself. But I would love to know that journey going from, being a painter to now being a filmmaker. I don't think it's that much different when you think in pictures like that. I imagine it's very easy for you to take what you see visually because you put it on canvas. Now you just got to put it in a script because that's all screenwriting is. It's taking what you're seeing in your head and writing it down on paper. That's all it is. It's painting, but with a pen instead of a brush. And this was beautifully painted. The writing was incredible. The scene where he sees his father for the first time was just so raw and so real. And you kind of get a good glimpse into the family dynamic between the father, the mother, and the son. This mother who is just almost desperate for reconciliation between father and son. It's so important to her. And she's already on this road to forgiveness and forgiving him and letting go of the past. And Terrell literally still has night terrors about what he experienced as a child because of his father and his addiction and the abuse that he suffered. And he's just trying to understand how everyone got here. This man who's been gone for 15 years, who did unspeakable things. His mother, who's not only let this man back into her house, but let him back into her life. And she still holds some sort of affection and love for him. And, the son who had to witness and carry so much. It's such a beautiful portrait of forgiveness and what that looks like. And it's not just words. It's not just saying, I'm sorry, will you forgive me? But in this case, golly, it makes sense that he's a painter. Now that I know that now, it makes sense that he's a painter. The way he juxtaposes certain images and characters. Because in this case, if you want to take that word forgiveness, replace it with the word release. Because that's all forgiveness is. Forgiveness is just releasing things and letting things go. And what we get is a picture of what that release looks like. We have it in his mother, who has forgiven, this man whom she fell in love with at a young age, and how free she is. You could just almost see just the lightweightedness of her body, just the freedom in that forgiveness. And we also see it in Terrell, who's just holding on to this anger and this bitterness so tightly, and how it has him bound and how it has him restricted, which is crazy, right? Because this man is just free as a bird when he's painting. And also the struggle of forgiveness within, a family unit, especially when you have multiple people who all experience the same things, but because, they're different, positions in the family, whether that's a mother, a husband, a son, a daughter, what have you, even though you all experience the same event, you may have experienced it in different ways, and how it can be very troubling and confusing to see other people just move on with their lives and go on as if what happened never happened, when you can't stop thinking about it. You can't stop dreaming about it. You're still hurt. You're still angry. You're still bitter. You're still confused. You still have unanswered questions, and people are telling you you have to forgive. The frustration. But this director, this new man on the block, paints that picture so well of the struggle and the frustration and just the beauty and the necessity of forgiveness. Job well freaking done. There are a lot of movies on my list that I need to see that are aiming to compete. I don't know how this movie is going to fare with everything else that's trying to compete for those big awards, but I pray this movie gets the recognition it so earnestly deserves. I need, at the very least, nominations somewhere for Andre Holland and Anjanae Ellis-Taylor. I know last year, so the 2023 films going into the 2024 award season, Anjanae Ellis-Taylor, there was a lot of push for her to be nominated for the movie Origin, which was just okay. She did great. She was fantastic. But the movie itself was just okay. I really didn't think it was going to go anywhere in terms of, award recognition. Because last year was just hella competitive. Hella competitive. But I think this might be it. I think this might be her foot in that door to at least some kind of nomination somewhere. She deserves it. She deserves to be recognized for the little bit of work she did in this movie, because her screen time is very little, but she packs such a punch. Just, heart-wrenching. And the vulnerability that just came out of Andre Holland in portraying this man named Terrell, who's just so broken and fed up, and having to be strong when he really just doesn't feel like it. Like, it's just so many different layers here. Just the unfolding of characters, the character development, the showing of grace and mercy and forgiveness, and how it all plays into it, and how difficult it is. I'm sorry. I've been in church, golly, since 2006, and I have never seen forgiveness so beautifully displayed. That was a sermon. That was incredible. I'm obsessed. Like, this was on my list to see this month, but I was nervous and a little scared that I wouldn't get to see it, because again, I don't know what the release schedule looks like. Is it limited? Is it wide? What is it? And there's just a lot of random nonsense coming out in the month of October. But again, this is, you got to pay attention to that release schedule, because this is when the movies of the year are coming out. They start coming out in October. So, I was so happy that this was the mystery movie. I got to see it. Dear Mr. Director Titus, welcome to the game. Fantastic job.